Brothers and sisters, you haven't found rest. You've missed the door to rest. You've missed the door to your deliverer. Yahusha, Alahim, is the only name under heaven and earth given whereby men can be saved, delivered. You've missed his rest because you are too busy, too interested being addicted to this book. You're too busy being a Hebrew junkie, addicted to all the ancient shadows and Torah teachings to realize that they all point to a person. The true Sabbath rest, the true rest of the land, the true peace, shalom, rest is in him. This is the 6th day we're on, preparation day. In shadow lingo, the shadow. They were to prepare for the 7th day. We're in the 6th day, 6,000th year, which means we're to be preparing for the millennial, eternal rest that's coming. That's the true rest that we're preparing for. Not just resting one day a week, not just resting in the land, thinking we're part of the 12 tribes. Think all these shadows were to point to Yahusha and the rest that you can have in his reign. You've got to find his reign, experience his reign. The portal opens. You have a true baptism in spirit and fire. You come into the true rest. I can tell you now, ever since we stopped just doing the dead carcass shadows of sin and death, ever since we stopped resting on the 7th day, we have just felt so alive because we're preparing every single day. Every single day we're preparing, checking our thoughts, checking in with the word. Is this what Yahusha wants me to do? Am I being prepared? Am I speaking his royal laws of love? Let's talk about these royal laws of love. Because Yahusha said, I give you a new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. He died for his wife. I haven't been willing to die to myself. I haven't been willing to die to the whims and desires and opinions of my wife. I haven't been willing to go there. No. But I tell you what, when you take on that task, you realize that you have been living a zombie, dead, carcass, shadow teaching. You've been living in the shadows, mate. Because when you actually come out and start loving people more than yourself, giving other people attention when you normally demand it yourself, when you come into that, you realize, I'm having a true experience with Yahusha here. This is what all the scriptures point to. That's why he said, I didn't come to abolish anything that was written before. This new commandment, loving Alahim and loving your neighbor as yourself, is what all the Torah and prophets hang on. Hang on. Without this, none of the other matters. So if you've gone through this portal, if you've gone through and you're having this encounter with him, do you think he's going to tell you to do something that's contrary to his word? Oh, but you don't rest on the Sabbath anymore. I'm seeking a greater rest, experiencing a greater rest of which I did not experience before. The rest that I really want, the rest that Paul spoke of. And he was speaking to people who were Hebrews, who were already resting on the Sabbath. And he was speaking to, Jewish in the land Hebrews. So he was talking to people who were in the promised land. So I wasn't talking about that kind of rest. And yet he said to them, most of you won't make it. I fear most of you will not experience this rest. So what is the rest? It's not about the command. It's not about the instruction as writ. It's about understanding what is that supposed to mean and how is this supposed to be behaved in my body. I mean, I know Yahusha didn't have a home as such, but why wasn't he resting on the Sabbath? He's our example, isn't he? Why wasn't, he got immersed, he got baptized, yes, as an example, but not as an example to us. As an example, because he said to John, just got to do this. John didn't want to do it. No, you've got to baptize me, mate, not the other way around. And Yahusha said, no, we've got to fulfill all righteousness. I've got to do this because I am everything that came before. All that points to me. My life, I have to fulfill everything. He fulfilled the immersion. He fulfilled the baptism. Why was he walking around? He even told his disciples, eat, pick the grain. I'm the master of the Sabbath. Because when you're in him and you're encountering him, it's not disobedience. It's actually understanding the riddle, understanding the parable, to know what the true rest is, to know. I mean, you've missed it. If you're just doing the command as writ, I'm doing them one at a time. Each of the 10 commandments, just like the dead shadow Torah teachers tell me, just doing the dead commandments and the dead feast 7 times a year. I have to gather together, even though I'm not in the land anymore, and that's what the feasts were for, in the land, but that doesn't matter. We'll just sweep that under the rug. The feasts point to a man. The Sabbath points to a man, a being, a deliverer. It all points to him. They are all schoolmasters to point you to him. So if we can cut the corners for people and say, hey, you don't have to go walking around this mountain for the next 20 years to try. We don't have 20 years. We've only got a couple of years left. If you've been doing the shadow teachings long enough and you realize I'm doing these things day in, day out, year in, week out, year in, year out, what does it mean? I'm telling you what they mean. They mean a spiritual fulfillment in Yahusha and in your body. And the fulfillment, of course, is the fruit of righteousness. This temple has to bear fruit. The fruit is love. You have to be living the behavior of love to other people. Only then will you die to yourself and overcome, when you start loving other people. And most of us don't want to do that because we're too busy being addicted to the book, too busy quoting the book, arguing about the book, mistranslating the book, all sorts of things about the book, being Hebrew junkies, where it's not where it's at. The true rest, every feast. I mean, you can go through the feasts if you want. There's Passover. There's 3 times of the year that all the males over 20 had to gather in Jerusalem. Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. Let's keep it simple in English. Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. And what do they all? Who do they all point to? You can go through. We've done so many videos. It's boring as batshit. I couldn't be bothered going through it all again. You know what all the feasts mean. They all point to Yahusha. They all point to Yahusha. Passover, Pentecost, the Spirit, the fire, everything. Even them coming out of Egypt, going through the water was a shadow of the Spirit, and him being the water. It's all shadows. Everything can be fulfilled in Yahusha. You got to know Yahusha. He wants you to know him. That's the key here. He wants you to know him and see where he started, where he ended up. He started on the throne. He was Yahuwah. He died to himself. He put off himself. He came as a man. He metamorphed, became a new creation, named Yahusha. We've got to know who he is now. He's Alahim, and he wants us to follow him from our old self to someone new. Are you willing to die to everything that you were? All the personalities, things that you've built, all the little building blocks and opinions and habits and hobbies and things that you call you? Are you willing to die to all that? Because he starts from ground zero. And that's why the narrow gate and the path is so rocky and narrow, because most people aren't willing to go this far. I've found the name Yahusha now, I'm satisfied. I've been dunked in water, I'm satisfied now. But you're not delivered. You don't have a deliverer because Yahusha's gone on. He's leading his bride to greener pastures. He's actually leading his bride to overcoming the spirit in her flesh. That spirit in our flesh has to be killed. It has to be overcome. Only then will we be waiting in the wilderness. Waiting in the wilderness. Because the other half of Daniel's 70-week prophecy has started. Everybody in the world, even religion's talking about it. Everybody knows it started. Don't get with it if you don't think that. Come on, get with it. It's started. The 3.5 years has started. The last 3.5 years of all through Revelation, 3.5 years, 2:7 years, all the numbers and 42 months. It's all started. It's all happening. Look at the news. Look at the wars. Look at the terrors. Look at the natural disasters. Judgments, I should say. Those seals have been opened 2,000 years ago, and they're just increasing and increasing. The demons have been let out of the pit, as it says in Revelation. The last 3.5 years have already started. And as you can see, if he doesn't come back before the time, no flesh will survive. So there's only a couple of years left, brothers and sisters. Only a couple of years left. It's time to get our act together, to be ready, waiting, serving him in the wilderness. Of course, the wilderness is a spiritual place too. It's not, we don't whisk off to some stupid desert. It's a spiritual thing as well. His reign is not of this world. His rest, his fruits are not of this world. They have to be accessed through his portal. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. You can't do those of yourself. You can't overcome of yourself. Who do you think you are? The spirit in your flesh is far greater than you. That's why you need a new spirit. You need to be baptized in spirit and have his fire cleansing you, because nothing cleanses you more than his fire. When it comes in, nothing will stop it. It will consume the sacrifice. Another old shadow for you. That's why reading this book is such a joy, because it's not complicated. It's not hard. You don't need to read commentaries and listen to videos and teachings and all sorts of things. That's why I've stopped doing it. How many books of the scriptures have I taken people through? Why bother? Most of them poo-poo it anyway. That's not what it means. Well, you work out what it means then, mate. Since you've got the Spirit, apparently, even though you don't agree that Yahusha is Alahim, even though you think you just got to be dunked in water, that's not the Spirit of Yahusha at all. Yahusha's taking his bride into the filtration system so that she will be willing to serve him and be perfected in the wilderness through spirit and fire. So you've missed it. You've missed the door. You've missed your deliverer. You've missed the baptism. You're just peddling. If you're just talking about 10 commandments and feasts and, oh, it's Pesach and it's Shabuoth. It's Sukkoth. Oh, like Hebrew language is going to get you anywhere. They're Hebrew junkies. Yahusha is talking to us today in a language you understand. You can hear his voice. He doesn't talk to you in Hebrew. He talks to you in your body, in your vessel, in your temple, in your mind. He talks to you in the language you understand. If you want to know what something originally meant in the original language of Hebrew, look it up. It won't be perfect anyway, but you can get an idea. And even then, the voice that you're listening to, get to know his voice. That voice is so powerful, so important to know. That's the voice that you've got to know him. Because this book points to him. Everything in this book points to him. So when people want to take you through hours and hours and pages of commentary and exposition and Hebrew understanding, oh, please, get stuffed. I'd rather listen to him, because he cuts all the corners and makes it so easy. So if you're not prepared to do that for people, then just get out of the way. The bride is moving forward. The revolution is going on. Yahusha's behavior revolution is alive and kicking more now than ever, and it will be a thorn in your side if you are one of those swine that keep trying to trample her. She will not have, touch not my anointed. Touch not my anointed, Yahusha says. How dare you touch his anointed, even with your thoughts? How dare you? You watch what will happen. All your little keyboard warriors, out there with your big words and big opinions and big egos, living in your parents' basement, That's the funny thing when you see all these opinions. You click on their channel, you click on their profile, and there's nothing there. They're nothing. They're nobody. They're just a voice allowing a demon to come through them at me. And I've been so stupid to listen to them and be affected by them. Yahusha said, what are you listening to that rubbish for? Click on their face, click on their photo, that's if they're even got the guts to put a photo of themselves up there. Nobody's even that transparent these days. Fake name. I'm Moshe Eliyahu, Yeshayahu, Prophecy, Yahusha, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's not even their name. That's not your name. You haven't even got guts to use your right name, or your photo of yourself so we can see who we're talking to. Gutless wonders. That's what's in the social media arena these days. And I've been letting them affect me? No, not at all. That's pathetic. You're pathetic. If you're going on with that kind of rubbish, bullying people online, it's rubbish. The bride is moving on to greener pastures. She's filtering into the wilderness. Right under your nose, you Pharisaical hypocrites. You don't even have the right baptism. You don't even have the right spirit. You don't even know what the 10 Commandments were pointing to, because you just want to peddle the 10 Commandments. You won't even tell people it's all about love. It's all about having this encounter with Yahusha. You can feel him. You can know him. You can have his spirit and fire come upon you, and you're never ever alone again. You never not hear his voice. He's right there giving you all the answers to everything. There's no more confusion, because he says, come out from among them. You know, come out from Egypt, come out from Babel, come out from Rome, come out from the confusion. So come out, but you can only come out into his reign. You've got to be adopted, immersed into a new reign. It's not under the water. It's not Atlantis. You're not going to find Aquaman down there. No, it's a spiritual reign. Yahusha, Alahim's reign is not of this world. That's why, because of all you party poopering Pharisaical hypocrites out there, that's why he wrote the scriptures the way he did, in metaphoric, parabolic terms, just like he did when he told parables, so that he couldn't be accused before the time. But those who really wanted him knew what he was talking about, and if they didn't, they asked. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you find this a little bit hard to chew on, because this is meat, start incorporating meat into your diet, because all these fresh vegetables, all this milk of the word, all this bubby fluency and 𝗥𝗔𝗥𝗘𝗢 rubbish is not getting you anywhere. It's not helping you attain the rest. It's not helping you attain the redemption of which all the feasts point to. It's not helping you know Yahusha. You don't know him, because you know him when you know him when you know him. You know him. So run for him, brothers and sisters, and don't let any of the party poopers get in the way. They're just jealous. They're just angry that they won't give up. They can see you having favour, and they don't want to go that far to receive his favour, because it might mean they have to give up things of themselves. They might have to die to themselves like he did. They might have to pick up their torture stake and follow him into hard, uncomfortable thing. Oh, that's not in my comfort zone. I'm not quite comfortable. Who cares about your comfort zone? Look at Yahusha's comfort zone. He was a man. He was an Alahim man, but a man nonetheless. We have to see him, and we have to know him, and we have to overcome this spirit that lives in our flesh. Otherwise, there is no hope for you being chosen. You won't know him. You don't know where he's gone. He's hidden. Yahuah put himself off. He left his old bride, Yisrael, with her debauchery and her idolatry and her harlotry. He even left her his word. Are you one of the ones he's left his word with? But he's gone, and then he went into a different body, a different form, a different person. He changed. Yes, he changed. So stop arguing, and if you don't understand his change, ask him. But it says he doesn't change. It says a lot of things in there. It says a lot of things in there. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. So it's getting very hot out here. One phone's just died from the heat. So I'm going to leave you with that today, brothers and sisters. That's enough for now. You need to chase after him like the bride in the Song of Solomon chased after her bridegroom, looking for him in every thought, chasing him, hunting him, wanting him no matter what, to know who he is, wanting to know you more than anything else. That's what he wants. Stay strong, brothers and sisters, and know your deliverer. Know your deliverer. And if there's something in the way, jump over that hurdle and keep going. Gird your loins and run your race. Work out your deliverer, your deliverance, with fear and trembling. I love you very much. Stay strong.